Hello teacher friends, welcome back. Today let's talk about art. Art is a center you have to have in your classroom. It's a very important center. It's not a have to, it is a have to, but you want to have art there. Art is a necessary way for children to express. Some children love to express themselves through art. Some children not so much, and that's okay. They express themselves probably through a different avenue. But art for many is very important. So some of the things that I see are difficulties in organizing art materials because there's so much of it, right? You got a lot of art, but I do want to note that art should be available every day to the children, every day. Here's how I organized my art, okay? This thing right here, got this at the hardware store. It's like a nut and bolt organizer, but it worked fabulously. I labeled them, so there's my feathers. I had Q-tips, eyes, googly eyes. I had pony beads, popsicle sticks, buttons, cotton balls, pom-poms, shapes, and then whatever else I had in here. This sat on a shelf. This also sat on a shelf. This one right here had envelopes, stickers, glue sticks, wet glue. Okay, so this sat on a shelf all the time, was available and open all the time. Now in the beginning of the year, you teach children how to use wet glue, glue sticks, make sure you put the lid on the glue sticks so they don't dry out, that sort of thing. But this was available all the time. Here's a picture of my art supplies on a shelf. Okay, these children are watercoloring, but it's sitting right there on the shelf, available every day. This is how it was often used. They would pull it off the shelf, put it on the table so it was easily accessible. She always had her little setup here, and then they'd get to work. Another picture of her, so creative. She used whatever things, sometimes I had die cuts out, sometimes just scraps of paper, and she would use whatever was in here to create whatever it was she wanted to create. Yarn, scissors, available all the time for children to create with. Sometimes I would organize my things, like special things we were doing, in like these sorter trays. You can get them at the dollar store has sorter trays. They're like chip and dip trays, work great. Sometimes for special activities, if we were doing a lot of it and I needed to bring it out, I would bring it that way. I'm also a collector, so anytime I would run into things like this at the dollar store or Goodwill, I would pick them up. Sometimes toys come in these wooden trays, which are fabulous for sorting, for supplies. So sometimes I would put them in there too. So have them out every day. Play-Doh should be out every day. Paint should be out every day. But these art supplies should be out every day. A little note about wet glue. Sometimes I see that teachers don't want to put wet glue out because the kids just squeeze it, and all this wet glue comes all over their paper. But let's think about the benefits. The benefits, fine motor, right? They're squeezing, they're squeezing, they're squeezing. Good for building strength in their hands for writing when they do in kindergarten. Wet glue is super cheap. It's super cheap. I bought like a gallon of the wet glue and it would last for years. And then I would just fill these up. Sometimes these get clogged. They're kind of a pain to work with, but I would always just fill them back up. My kids used as much glue as they wanted to use because I had that gallon of glue for years. It lasted all the time. So I didn't worry if they were squeezing too much. Sometimes it's just the experience of squeezing that glue and watching it just kind of spread out on your paper. And if, you know, they filled things up with pony beads and they used all the pony beads this day and they just really had a good time and was creating whatever they created, as long as they were creating and beads weren't flying all over the room, have at it. Have at it. You can use whatever's in here. Now let's say you have a child who used all the googly eyes. Making some kind of monster, used all the googly eyes. You don't want to put all your supplies out, maybe, if it's a popular item, all at one time, and then that's all gone. So you might put some out let them create however they want to create, and maybe you fill it up once a week type of thing if it's a popular item. Pony beads, super cheap, and you can fill those up all the time. Popsicle sticks are pretty common. Q-tips, you can just replenish as they use them. So I hope this is helpful, and if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.